Tuesday, 26th of Kislev, L'chainu, page 91. If you're using the Steinsaltz Tanya, page 119. So yesterday we were explaining the three stages of awareness of ideas. We started, so step one is Chachma. Step two is Bina. Chachma, we says the flash of wisdom, the light bulb, the proverbial light bulb of the idea. And then step two is then the unpacking it with all its detail. Interesting note to point out, the Steinsaltz Tanya mentions on the page, on the bottom of 114 from yesterday, that this is very theoretical because Chachma and Bina are instantaneously following one after the other. It's very hard to know when you have the light bulb and then you don't understand the part of it.
What is 114, Rabbi?
I'm saying in the Steinsaltz, you don't have the Steinsaltz Tanya.
Are we? Why do I have the Chayenu if we're doing the?
No, I'm using the Chayenu, but I'm referencing some bonus footage from the notes of the Steinsaltz. But you don't have to worry. I'm saying it out loud. The point he's saying is that it's very hard to differentiate between Chachma and Bina in your mind because it happens so quickly. Number two, they're really inseparable because the nucleus of every idea is incomprehensible. Basically, they're very much intertwined. That's why they're called two friends they're inseparable as parts of your mind. Okay, but now he gives an example. When the intellect in the rational soul deeply contemplates and immerses itself. When it contemplates and immerses itself exceedingly in the greatness of God. How God fills all the world. God's immanent life and life force is enclothing itself and unifying with each creature. And furthermore, you realize how God is beyond just the energy of everything, but God is really transcending, encompassing all the worlds. This is a very classic meditation on God, right? God within everything in nature.
So you're reading right from Stein at the moment.
No. Now I'm back to the Chayenu. I'm using Chayenu. I'll let you know if I'm reading a sidebar.
Where are you reading in Chayenu then?
Page 91. We're now continuing on page 92.
Is that Al-Mean? Is that Aramaic?
Yes. Or, for example, when a person contemplates another aspect of God's greatness, how in God's presence all creatures are considered as naught, quoting from the Zohar. At a certain level, you realize everything is really subsumed in the oneness of God. Then, so let's say you really think about that. You think about it for a while. You really focus on it. Then you'll fear, you'll have awe. I'm sorry. Then the midah, the emotion of awe for the majesty of the divine will be born and aroused in one's mind and one's thought. Liroy, to have awe, lisbaishis, to become humble, udulasi yisbarich, before Hashem's blessed greatness. She'en la seifes achlas, which is without end or limit. Upachad Hashem elibai, and there will also be born a dread of God in his heart. V'shuv yislai of livei ba'ava azah k'dish b'yesh. This is what we call yiras shemayim, right? A very big part of being a practicing Jew is to develop yiras shemayim, awe of heaven. But where does that come from? Fear. Well, some want it from fear of punishment, right? If you do a sin, you'll be punished. But the Hasidic and the everybody agrees the higher level, not just Hasidus, but even the Rambam writes this, that the higher level of awe comes from what?
Love.
From contemplation of God. You think about God, not about what you're going to get or be punished with. The next stage after your contemplation, after the awe, and his heart will glow with an intense love of God, like fiery flames. With a passion, desire, and longing within yearning soul.
So
The
the love comes from the fear.
So that's actually
Like a higher
this is
level.
early on in Tanya, and you've learned it before, so that's
Yeah.
but this is a very fundamental thing that the Alter Rebbe says, that awe comes first.
Awe comes first.
In a real relationship, respect comes first, followed by the love. It's a must. And he's not getting into this. He's giving an example. This is a very short example to explain the anatomy of the psyche. But he's giving it for the divine soul psyche. What does the divine soul think about? God. So when it thinks about God, it develops an awe, respect, and then it develops into a fiery love, with an intense love like fiery flames, the passion, desire, and longing, yearning soul. These are all different grades of love. Towards the greatness of the blessed Ein Sof. This is what is meant by the term a consuming passion of the soul. Klois HaNefesh is a very classic term. Talks about like the expiring of the soul. Great tzaddikim, they love God so much, they almost want to expire in ecstasy to God. Kidechsiv, as this is written, Nichsefa v'gam kol nafshi. In Tehillim, my soul longs for you. King David said, indeed it faints. Uksiv tzama nafshi l'kim, my soul thirsts for you, God. Uksiv tzama l'chanafshi, my soul thirsts for you. In other words, the great mystics would ponder God's existence and develop very intense emotions, sometimes to the point of danger. There's a story of the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe, we know, his life story was he wasn't aware of Chassidim until he was already a young adult. And when he came as a young, I'm not sure what age exactly, 20 or something, around there, he came to, after being a world-renowned prodigy in Talmud, Kabbalah, philosophy, Jewish philosophy, Alter Rebbe, Rabbi Zalman, he came to the Maggid of Mezrich, Rabbi Dober Mezrich, who was
he's the father of our Rebbe.
No, this Rabbi Zalman is late 1700s.
Late 1700s. Okay.
He's the author of the Tanya. So before he was, the author of the Tanya, he studied, and he went to the inner circle disciple of Rabbi Dov Ber of Mezrich, who was the second generation Hasidic master after the Baal Shem Tov.
So he's able to even write this thing in Hebrew. That's amazing.
So the second generation, so Alter Rebbe studied under the Maggid of Mezrich, and the Maggid of Mezrich had the Alter Rebbe set up a chavrusa with his son, the Maggid's son, Rabbi Avraham, who's known as Rabbi Avram the Malach, because he was so spiritual. He was like he was angelic. So the Alter Rebbe studied with Rav Avram the Malach, which is the nickname, and he would, Rabbi Shner Zalman would teach. He would be the I guess the more expert partner in the Chavrusa when he would teach him Gemara, because he was a brilliant halachist. And Rabbi Avraham, the Maggid's son, would teach him, a lot of Chassidus, a Chassidic philosophy, catch him up. So one time they were studying Chassidus together, and Rabbi Shner Zalman started experiencing incredible thirst for God. What we're calling here the term Klois HaNefesh, a real, a dangerous level of thirst for God. And I forget if he asked for or he was offered by his partner, Avram the Malach, for a bagel with butter, so he could retain a hold on his physical self, because he was getting to very dangerous
food, basically.
Food. Eat a
Food
bagel.
will stress me. Yeah.
A physical delight to stay tethered to the body.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So this is obviously a very...
He was afflicting himself?
No, I don't think it was afflicting. I think he was what we're talking about here. He was
Making me
meditating.
hungry now.
He was meditating.
Like,
When we say
take a
Nadav,
break, have a bagel.
like, he was getting so...
preoccupied.
He was going such in rapture.
Right.
There was a danger of his soul leaving his body.
To anchor him.
So the bagel was just to anchor him back, because we don't want to die. You want to stay alive.
You wonder whether they would, someone
Baruch atah
days,
Adonai.
how they would look at that,
Right.
whatever happened.
It's very interesting. It's very hard for us to understand, because the Alter Rebbe, his mind worked at the neural pathways of his mind were, besides the spiritual, he was a genius. I mean, to say it mildly.
He came from the world of the Gaonian, basically.
Of the Misnagdim.
Misnagdim, that's what
He's studying that, yeah.
So he was a convert.
His father was a secret chassid, actually. He didn't know the Baal Shem Tov. Actually, his father was a secret chassid of the Baal Shem Tov, and his father actually brought Rabbi Shner Zalman at 3 years old to have his hair cut by the Baal Shem Tov. But he was not allowed to know that. He was not allowed to know who that was.
Who was not allowed?
Rabbi Shner Zalman was not allowed to know of the Baal Shem Tov. He had to discover Hasidism on his own. His father...
What was the reason for that?
I mean, there's probably a couple reasons, but it's hard to say, what the mystical reason is, but I'd say at a simple level is that his life journey had to go find on his own. It could not have been, meaning he was being destined for a certain role, which we know was ultimately called the development of Chabad Hasidism, a very expansive intellectual form of Hasidism. In other words, it's fusing Hasidism, which is very emotional and rapture type of practice, with cold intellect, or really fusing the two. So he had to really go up. It almost sounds to me like he had to be a product of the non-Hasidic, cold Talmudic intellectual brilliance, in order to then take that approach and fuse it with the emotional and rapture of Hasidism. So if he knew about if he was Hasidic from day one, he wouldn't have had that.
He had the zeal of a convert.
He had to have the zeal of a convert, exactly. Right. Which is fascinating. By the way, I want to point, which is fascinating, as we talk about Chabadism helping the world do tshuva. The Rebbes themselves had to have a certain convert tshuva,
in a sense.
In sense, right? It's a very interesting. It's not like a plan B. It's a plan A.
Right.
Anyways, moving on.
And the Baal Shem Tov was still considered kind of subversive at that time. I mean, it was already.
What do you mean, to subversive to the Misnagdim?
To the Misnagdim, yeah.
I mean, the whole Chassidim, even the time of Alter Rebbe, they were considering
that would
it.
be the reason to hide for the.
That's another reason. There was many people that were very hidden. It wasn't. It took more time till it became more openly acceptable. But I think with Alter Rebbe it was more than that. It was also like he had to discover on his own. Batzimoin, the thirst, whom you say the Eish Nefesh Kiss, is derived from the element of fire in the divine soul. We talked before in Tanya that there's 4 elements of the soul. There's 4 elements. I mean, Rambam talks about the 4 elements of all creation, right? Some type of molecular fire, molecular earth, water, fire. Everything is made up of earth, fire, water, air. Physically, not physically, I mean, not actual air, but molecularly, whatever those things symbolize on a molecular level.
Right.
But it also, in spirituality, everything also is made up of fire, spiritual air, spiritual water, spiritual earth. So the divine soul has to have these. In other words, we say you have the capacity for love. Why? Because you're made up of these forces, these spiritual forces. So the love comes from the element of fire in the divine soul. As students of natural science affirm, this is interesting. Scientists, he's saying, students of science, yeah. So too it says in Kabbalah, the element of fire is in the heart. While the source, the element of water and moisture is in the brain. As explained in Eitz Chaim, Portal 50, it's the level of Chacham, which is called the water of the divine soul. Anyways, whatever that means on an elemental level, it's saying that heart is more passionate. That's the love. The mind is water is more cool, calm appraisal of a situation. In other words, it says here in the Chayenu that when you have love for God, the mind cools it down to not go to dangerous heights.
Wow.
Ushar midas kulon, the rest of the remaining 5 midos, hinam feyira va'ava tzilisayim. They are all offshoots and derivatives of fear and love. As explained elsewhere.
Where are we now?
93.
What did you say about fear and love?
Oh, it's the bottom. Okay.
What did you say about fear and
The
love?
other 5 midos. What are the 5 midos? We said. What are the 5 midos? So there's chesed, givura, or avavira, whatever, which is kind of just another side of it. Tiferes would be compassion. Netzach would be persistence. Hod would be submission to the cause, submission to the idea in your mind, or the submission to the thing you want to do.
Hod is also gratitude.
It means, well, gratitude is submission. When you're grateful, you're submitting.
No, they're related. Yeah, I mean,
Hod literally means splendor. If you want to get like with this word splendor, doesn't explain on emotional what that means. And then you have Yesod, which means the bonding, the desire to bond with the recipient. And Malach would be leadership. The rest of the 5 midot are all offshoots and rivers of fear and love, as explained elsewhere. Okay, so we're not even getting into detail because this is really a very, very short crash course in understanding the way the intellect, the awareness, the Chabad, the intellectual awareness that we have of things, and the midos, the emotional impulses that we have inside of us. And all emotional impulses, just to know for working purposes, are they're really offshoots and combinations of love and awe, love and fear. Everything ultimately, persistence, for example, tenacity, Tenacity is why is it? Where is it a combo of love or fear? It's a certain passion for the idea. You're not pushing it forward because you're indifferent to it.
So what's the this is the other five. What is the sixth or the one that this is from? This is Hesed or Gevurah? No.
So the midos, when we talk about the
Other
midos,
five. They're really
Ava v'yira is really just Ava is chesed. Chesed is
Hesed.
chesed is
and
Ava.
Gevurah. Oh, I see. So those two combined.
Gevura is restraint and
Right.
making room for it. So it's
So
respect.
they're
It would be
combining those two and calling
so
them
everything else, the other five midos, there's
Right.
five others, are really going to be combos or offshoots of love and awe,
which are Hesed and Gevurah.
which is chesed and gevura. Exactly. Right. Caveat, just to be clear with the terms. The terms we use for the spheros.
So that's why they're doubles. Hesed and Gevurah.
That's actually,
what are the
it's-
double things?
That's an interesting question. I didn't look it up properly. So I have two theories on that. I mean, from what I've read a little bit. One is that there's an internal part of a attribute and there's an external depiction of it.
So it's a double within each one.
So there's, like, for example, Ava is, I think is the internal love, is the internal experience that pushes you forward to have chesed,
Right.
to be kind and giving.
Right.
Yira, a sense of awe and respect, is what's causing you to have gevura, retract, and be very discerning, and not spill yourself all over the place. Have a very
So the
certain level
doubling
of
is like the pairing between Hesed and Gevurah, or
chesed / ava, gevura / yira, because those are angles of the
Oh, so
same
that-
thing.
Gevurah and Yira are the double. Okay. I mean, you could
Right.
do it either way. You can pair them.
I think the way they said here briefly is that the doubles is that there's various ways to. I have to look it up. To be honest, let me look it up and get back to you.
Not in the Steinzel.
I think it was there briefly, but I didn't get a chance to look at it thoroughly.
Right.
Finishing up on page 94. V'adas hu meloshein adam yodas chava. Das. Chabad, chachma, bina, then das. Das is the etymology, is in the word man, Adam knew Eve. Hu l'shein hiskasha v'schabros. This implies attachment and union. So what's knowledge? It's a very generic word. It means really attaching yourself to the idea, to the abstract idea. Even the well understood idea could still be, what they asked Bertrand Russell, who's caught in some scandal, moral. He's a professor, a philosopher, and he was caught in something very immoral. I don't know what it was. Adultery. I don't know what it was exactly.
Immoral.
Immoral. And they said to him, "You're a professor, Sir Bertrand Russell, right?"
Yeah. Well, what did he do? That was so.
I think there was some. I don't know.
Immoral
Some
stuff.
immoral stuff. That's what I heard. I didn't
Okay.
research the story fully, but he was caught, and they said, you're a professor of ethics. How could you, of all people, do something immoral?
What did he say?
So they also teach trigonometry, and I'm not a triangle. The idea doesn't necessarily have to affect knowledge. Doesn't necessarily carry over to your persona, to the way you act.
The difference between doing and teaching.
Right.
Agent.
So das mean where you're stopping indifferent to the idea. You really you start attaching it. You personally resonate with the idea, and that happens through how shemikasher daite bekesher amitz v'chasam oid. You bind your mind with a very firm, strong bond, and firmly fix one's thought. And you affix your mind, your machshava, which means your active mind, to think about the greatness of the infinite blessed one, in divine soul, realm. The ideas are always about God. So what does it mean having das? Is that you're really focusing in a strong way about the idea, the angle of God that you were contemplating, and you're not diverting your mind from it. For even someone who is wise and understanding. Wise, what's chacham? Intuitive. Someone who's very intuitive. Navon, deeply processing the idea, deeply comprehending the idea.
Where's Navon here?
Navon is the middle paragraph. Kaf mishu chacham v'navon. Someone who's wise and understanding.
Navon.
In the greatness of God. This is a real student of God, of divinity. Hine, behold, if he does not connect his das and affix his thought with strength and with diligence, he will not produce in his soul true fear and love, but only vain fancies.
Let's go back and just say what we just said.
If someone like us, we study Tanya.
Yeah.
Some days we have a decent understanding of it. And really, there's a lot of times these ideas, right? We talk about them over the past year. They could be very, for example, let's say we study at the end of today of our sessions, we do the daily Parsha Insight. Typically, I think we understand it. It's well laid out, the daily Parsha Insight. It has a resonating application of a part of the Torah, and it's inspiring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does it necessarily carry over to your behavior? No. Why not? Why not? But why not? Why not always? If you understand it, why doesn't it carry over? This is true.
That's the lack of the das.
It's the lack of the das, because if you take the idea after we take the 5 minutes and talk and say it, and we understand it, and you keep on thinking about it, and you understand it, and you go more and more about it, you're going to say, oh my gosh, this changes everything. If this is truth, then this is going to make a change in me. But most of the time, because of our frenzied lives, we hear ideas and we go on to the next idea. The way an idea really becomes personalized is through the contemplation, the focusing on it. And I think in our generation, this is something that we more than ever in history probably suffer with because of phones and internet and the fast pace of life. But das is really
the intellectualization of everything. Right.
Das is not intellectualization. Das is not. It's the personalization.
Yeah. The intellectual being the opposite of
right.
what we're supposed to be doing.
We get it to various degrees. We move on.
We can explain it.
Move on.
We don't
Next.
we don't connect to it.
So exactly, das in a very simple terminology is connecting to the idea.
The connection between the knower and the known.
Yep.
What's
And so if you don't do that, you're not going to have. You think about God. God is great. Wow, but it's fancies. It comes and goes. Therefore, das provides the substance and vitality of the midas. It comprises chesed and gvura, pirush, ava vanfa, vira vanfa. Love and its offshoots and fear and its offshoots. So das, what happens when you personalize an idea? Besides that, you're like, oh my gosh, this is true. You have feelings about the idea. You connect to the idea in a personal way. That's why das is, I think it says here that das, it comprises chesed and gvura, which without having looked too deeply into that, on a certain level, before there's a feeling in the heart, there's conclusions. There's conclusions, good and bad, right? When we make conclusions of the idea, although the faculty of das does not add anything into the core insight, I'm reading from the Steinsaltz, it plays a critical and decisive role. The deductions and conclusions formulated by the faculty of das is the ability to generate emotion, whether it's one of attraction, love, or compulsion, fear. It is the faculty of knowledge that formulates one's likes and dislikes, impulse to desire or to hate, ideals and pitfalls. Since das is that which determines how a person relates to every aspect of his life, it provides, as we end off today, the substance and vitality of the emotive attributes. In other words, das is really the root of the emotions, because it's almost the personal decisions after the real processing in a personal way of the idea. The decisions is what ultimately makes you how you decisions, good, bad, like, dislike, is what you're now going to feel about this thing.
Yeah.